Okay, so let's jump right in. When you think about money, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For most of us, right, it's math, spreadsheets, charts, all that complicated stuff. But what if the single most important factor for financial success has almost nothing to do with how smart you are and everything to do with how you behave? Well, today, we're unpacking exactly that, the psychology of money.
See, we're all taught that finance is this hard science, this world of numbers and rules. But the reality, managing money well is actually a soft skill. It's about how you deal with things like greed and fear, how you think about risk, and how your own totally unique personal history shapes every single financial decision you make. The real story isn't in the spreadsheet, it's in your head.
So, where does our money story even begin? Well, it's not with your first paycheck. It starts way, way back in your past.
And what's so fascinating is that there is no single right way to think about money. What seems perfectly rational to you might look completely bonkers to someone else. And why? Because it all comes down to your personal life experiences, your family, your upbringing, the economy you grew up in, all of it.
The author, Morgan Housel, puts it perfectly with this idea. Get this, our personal experiences are this tiny, minuscule fraction of what's actually happened in the world, but they make up the vast majority, like 80% of our financial worldview. We take our little slice of reality and just project it onto the entire market, assuming everyone sees it the way we do. But they don't.
Let's make this real for a second. Imagine someone who watched their parents' savings get totally wiped out by high inflation. You know their relationship with debt and cash is going to be completely different from someone who grew up when the economy was booming. And here's the thing, neither person is crazy. They're just operating from different, deeply personal rulebooks.
And sometimes these histories go even deeper. There's a ton of research on adverse childhood experiences, things like instability or neglect, and how they can actually pre-wire us for certain financial behaviors. So if you grew up with a feeling of scarcity, you might hoard cash as an adult to feel safe, even when it makes no logical sense. Your past is always riding shotgun in your financial present.
And this is where our personal history connects right into something we all share, our biology. Because it turns out your brain isn't really designed to help you invest. No, it's designed to help you survive.
This brings us to a huge concept in behavioral finance called loss aversion. It's basically a glitch in our thinking, where the emotional sting of losing something is way more powerful than the joy you'd feel gaining the exact same thing. So how much more powerful are we talking? Well, studies show it's about twice as powerful. Your brain literally registers a loss with double the emotional gut punch of an equivalent gain. And honestly, this one simple fact explains so much about our irrational financial behavior. You know, think about it like this. If I just walked up and handed you $100, you'd be happy. You'd be like, cool, thanks. It's a nice little bonus to your day. But if I stole that same $100 from you, your reaction would be visceral. You'd be angry, maybe you'd yell. It's a much, much stronger emotional event, even though the dollar amount is exactly the same.
And get this isn't some weird modern quirk of our brains. This is an ancient survival instinct. It's what kept our ancestors alive. You know, protecting the food you already had was way more important for survival than risking your life for a little bit extra.
I mean, just how deep does this go? Check out this experiment they did with capuchin monkeys. They taught them to trade tokens for apple slices. Now, one seller gave them a sure thing, one apple slice, with a chance for a bonus. The other seller showed them 2 slices, but then had a chance of taking one away. The result? The monkeys overwhelmingly hated the seller who took something away, even though the math worked out exactly the same. They just couldn't stand the feeling of loss.
And on a brain level, when you think about losing money, your amygdala, the brain's fear center, it just lights up. But here's the really wild part. So does your insula, which is the part of the brain that processes disgust. That's right, the thought of losing money can literally make your brain feel the same way it would about a horrible smell. So, okay, we've got our personal history, and we've got our ancient biology kind of working against us. All of this leads to one of the biggest misunderstandings in all of finance. The huge difference between being rich and being wealthy.
And this chart breaks it down so perfectly. Being rich is visible, right? It's the fancy car, the big house. It's tied to how much you're making right now, and it's all about spending it. Wealth, though? Wealth is invisible. It's the money you haven't spent. It's your savings, your investments. It's what buys you freedom and options.
I'm gonna say that again because it's so important. Rich is what you see. Wealth is what you don't see. It's the car you decided not to buy, the first-class upgrade you passed on. It's the financial assets that haven't been turned into stuff yet.
And here's the trap this creates. When we look around for financial role models, who do we see? We see the person with the Ferrari, the mansion. We idolize these visible signs of being rich, but we can't see their brokerage account, can we? We can't see their savings rate or their real net worth. The truly wealthy are often hidden in plain sight, living quiet lives.
So if real wealth isn't about having a huge income and spending it all, then what's the actual path to building it? Well, the answer is surprisingly simple and has absolutely nothing to do with picking the perfect stock.
This quote from Morgan Housel it nails it. One of the most powerful ways to increase your savings isn't to raise your income, it's to raise your humility. That right there, that completely reframes the entire challenge of building wealth.
And this gets right to the heart of it. Building wealth isn't an earning problem, it's a spending and ego problem. Humility is that gap between your ego and your income. It's the ability to say, yeah, I could afford that, but I don't need to. That is the superpower that lets your money quietly grow in the background.
And when you really think about it, so much of modern spending, especially with social media and all that, it's just a performance. We're trying to signal success to other people. But here's the secret. Nobody cares about your stuff as much as you do. Seriously, they're too busy thinking about their own lives and their own stuff.
And that really brings us to our final thought. Our entire society is obsessed with teaching us how to earn money, but we spend almost no time trying to understand what money does to us, how it messes with our brain, our ego, and our sense of what actually matters. And maybe, just maybe, understanding that side of the equation is the most valuable financial skill of all.